Hello, this is Group 1, and we will be talking about black box testing, what it is, why it's used for in testing, the types of techniques involved, the pros and cons, some comparisons with other forms of box testing, and we'll also mention a few tools that are used. So, why testing in general? Testing is a fundamental step in any development process. It consists in applying a set of experiments to a prototype system, with multiple aims, from checking correct functionality to measuring performance. In this presentation, we are interested in so-called black box conformance testing, where the aim is to check conformance of a system to a given specification. The system under the test is black boxed in the sense that we do not have a model of it. Thus, we can only rely on its observable input-output behavior. So what is black box testing? Black box testing ignores the internal mechanism of a system and focuses on the outputs generated from selected inputs and execution conditions. Testers only know what can be input into the black box and that it will send something out. The testers know what to expect from the black box output, and so they test to make sure that that is what it actually sends out. To ensure the testing is done without knowledge of the inner workings of the system, black box testing is generally done by an independent tester or by the consumer. And so why black box testing? Black box testing plays a significant role in software testing. It will aid in overall functional validation of the system. Black box testing is done based on the customer's requirements, so any incomplete or unpredictable requirements can be easily identified and can be addressed later. Black box testing is done based on end user perspective. The main importance of this testing is that it handles both valid and invalid inputs from a customer's perspectives.
Black box testing is done from the beginning of the software project lifecycle. All the testing team members need to be involved from the beginning of the project. During black box testing, testers need to be involved from the customer's requirements gathering as well as from the analysis phase. And in the design phase, test data and test scenarios need to be prepared. What are the types of black box testing? Functional testing focuses on the specifications of the software under test, namely the core application functions, menu operations, or the installation or setup package. From a customer's point of view, it's the most crucial test, which makes sure that they get features and services worth their money. Non-functional testing. This type of black box testing is not related to testing the specific functionality, but non-functional requirements such as performance, scalability, and usability. What are the techniques for designing black box testing? Equivalence partitioning, boundary value analysis, and cause-effect graphing are examples. Equivalence partitioning is a software test design technique that involves dividing input values into valid and invalid partitions and selecting representative values from each partition as test data. Boundary value analysis is a technique that involves the determination of boundaries for input values and selecting values that are at the boundaries and just inside and outside the boundaries as test data. And finally, cause-effect graphing is a software design technique that involves identifying the causes or input conditions and effects or output conditions, producing a cause-effect graph, and generating test cases accordingly. What about the pros and cons of black box testing? Pros include Tests are done from a user's point of view and will help in exposing discrepancies in the specifications. A tester need not know programming languages or how the software has been implemented. Tests can be conducted by a body independent from the developers, allowing for an objective perspective and the avoidance of developer bias. And test cases can be designed as soon as the specifications are complete. What about the cons? Only a small number of possible inputs can be tested, and many program paths will be left untested. Without clear specifications, which is the situation in many projects, test cases will be difficult to design. And tests can be redundant if the software designer or developer has already run a test case.
Difference between the black box testing, white box testing, and gray box testing. Well, there are some features of the difference between the three methods, and it's very extensive for understand each us. But the principal keys we can see. Well, the black box testing is software testing technique is the tester doesn't know the internal structure, design, and implementation of the software application. There is the buy-in testing. The main objective of this testing is to check what functionality of the system under test. And white box testing is a software testing method in the internal structure, design, implementation of the items being tested and known to the tester. The main objective of the white box testing is done to check the quality of the code. The gray box testing is a software testing technique. It's a combination of the black box testing and white box testing. The internal structural design and the implementation is partially known in the gray box testing. In the process, context in specific errors are the related to web system are commonly identified, and it will increase the testing encouraged by the concentrate all the layers any complex testing. In Reebok testing, a tester makes effort to identify and locate bugs and errors in the personal theology of the product internal. Well, we can see that in the process, the testing, we can decide to automate the testing, and this is the any tools for the make this. And this is our presentation. Thank you for your attention.